Hello guys, today I'll be going over what characters a brand new player might want to go for or invest resources into as of the Renaissance du Fantastique patch. By this I mean characters that are meta or will stay meta for a while and help you clear content easier. Now a quick disclaimer, of course if you like a certain character, regardless of their place in the meta, then you should play them. Even if there are stronger characters in the same role, you can clear any and all content in the game regardless, so you might as well have fun. So with that out of the way, let's take a look at the current teams. Ideally for the endgame, you have 6 teams, 5 Omniframe teams with the physical plus the 4 elements, and then a separate Uniframe team. Now with 3 characters in each team, that comes out to a total of 18 characters, but as a new player, you don't actually have to worry about building that many different characters. Nothing is stopping you from using an off-element team or mixing characters of different elements until you have enough build characters. Anyways, looking at the main Omniframe teams, each team has an attacker, a tank, and a support/amplifier. Putting it simply, tanks reduce enemy defense, support and amplifiers heal and buff the team, and attackers attack. That being said, every character, especially new characters, deal a ton of damage regardless of which role they're in, so you don't have to build an attacker necessarily to be able to clear content. Okay, so right off the bat, as of the Renaissance patch, we get 2 amplifiers for free. Selene Capriccio from the Recitativo de Fantasia game mode, and Isla Caledo from the Dorm Dispatch system. Now, they will take a couple of weeks to get, but they are the current endgame characters for the position. Caledo in particular is very strong, and so her A rank counterpart Wan Shi Hypnos has kind of fallen off, but in Capriccio's case, you can go with Vera Rosen instead, as she just got a pretty nice leap buff. Do keep in mind though, however, it is very expensive to invest in a leap character, especially for new players. Next, we're going to talk about Crimson Weave. Even though she isn't coming out for a couple more weeks, she is important enough to talk about now. I think it's safe to say most players want to get her and should get her. She's basically 90% of the entire Lightning team by herself, so basically everybody should be saving for her, and players that started recently should be able to save enough to get her before her banner ends. Now we'll get into the free S-rank selectors. New players will pretty much get a free selector right away where you can choose from these 5 characters. Upon doing the beginner guide missions, you'll get another selector where you can additionally choose from these characters, and finally, in the Crimson Weave patch, everyone will get another free selector where you can choose up to these characters. Starting with the beginner selector, our options are these 5. Of these, I think Liv Luminance is probably the best, but she is a support. If you want an attacker and you don't plan on getting Crimson Abyss or Bianca Stigmata anytime soon, then Lee Entropy could be a nice placeholder. The 2 I would definitely avoid is Karenina Ember and Kamui Tenebrion, just because they have better A-rank alternatives than the others. Next, we'll move on to the selector you get from the guide missions, where we're choosing from these characters. Now of these, Rosetta Rigger is the only character that isn't getting replaced anytime soon, but you can also get her by playing long enough through the voucher exchange shop. I don't think there's a right answer on who to choose here, but choosing Rosetta Rigger would let you have some nice damage for the physical team. Otherwise, Luna Laurel or Lucia Plume would strengthen the Dark and Ice teams respectively. The other character I'd maybe consider is Crimson Abyss for the physical team, but I think Rosetta Rigger is a better choice, so only pick her if you like her playstyle. Finally, we have the selector we should be getting from the Crimson Weave patch in a couple weeks. Of the new characters we can choose, Capriccio is free, so we're going to disregard her. That leaves us with Chrome Glory, Vera Garnet, and Liv Imperia. Now, none of them have better replacements yet, but I think Liv Imperia by far is the best choice here. This is because with the S-rings we've gotten already, the fire team is the only one that's empty. Also, with Caledo and Crimson Weave dealing more damage, the other units are less relevant. So, this is an example of what your roster should look like after the Crimson Weave patch. Now, we have to fill in the blanks with A-rank characters or S-rank characters in the future. I personally would prioritize the supports last, as you can't just slot in an off-element support or amplifier and get most of the benefits anyways. Also, amplifier is actually pretty strong. Even as a support, they're usually going to out-damage older S-ranks and most of the A-ranks, so just keep that in mind. So you don't have to follow this, but just as an example, if I chose Lee Entropy, Rosetta Rigger, and Liv Imperia for my selectors, then this would be my roster. I'd feel pretty good about the physical and lightning team, but the dark team especially would be weak, so I'd probably try and get like number 21 and Watanabe Astral for dark, and something like Bamnita and Lee Palefire for the ice and fire teams. So this wouldn't take that long to do at all, and you'd have a pretty solid team for every element. Again, keep in mind, this is for getting a bunch of teams ready so you can score higher and ranked content as fast as possible. You can totally take it slower and go all in on one team or do whatever else you want. Another note I want to make is that if you get the opportunity, get Bianca Stigmata and Lee Hyperreal. Like Crimson Weave is for the Lightning team, they are new gen attackers for the Physical and Fire team, and they currently make up a huge chunk of the damage for their respective teams. So keep an eye out for these characters, whether it's through a future S-Rank selector or if you're not free to play. Those two, and Crimson Weave of course, are the most important characters right now. I'm not going to really get into Uniframes because they're not really relevant for newer players, so all I'm going to say is if you have the resources to spare, then you can get some of the ones you like, but they don't have a team comp really, and they're only used in less common game modes, so yeah. Final thing is, if you go to the Grey Ravens wiki, you can see the list of characters that are coming out in the next year or so, just in case you want to avoid building a character now that'll have a replacement or alternative in the future. And yeah, that should be it for this guide. I might do another one a couple patches down the line, we'll see. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys around.